Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it seems that the wokeism has really endangered people's lives, may have even gotten people killed. And this is the reality that we're in when you do this type of stuff and you think it's okay to just be woke. Well, here's the thing. Here's the first video here, kind of discussing on what happened to the submarine and this deep dive and how tragic that it may be.
The Titanic is still missing with just hours before the 5 people inside technically run out of oxygen.
Fox 5's Robert Moses joins us in studio with the latest on the search and rescue mission deep in the Atlantic Ocean. Good morning, Robert.
So, Shani and Dan, good morning to you. This morning, there is potentially a sign of progress in the search, but with each passing hour, any hope of finding the 5 people on board alive dims. Early this morning, the U.S. Coast Guard said that a Canadian aircraft detected underwater noises in the search area, which is in the North Atlantic and about the size of the state of Connecticut. The news provided a shred of hope in an increasingly dire situation. It followed a report from Rolling Stone pointing to Homeland Security emails that rescue teams heard banging sounds every 30 minutes. Time is of the essence because oxygen could run out by tomorrow morning if the vessel is still intact and operating. The carbon fiber submersible called the Titan, operated by Ocean Gate Expeditions, is believed to be in waters that are nearly 13,000 feet deep or more than 2 miles below the surface. The 5 people on board have not been heard from since about an hour and 45 minutes after they submerged on Sunday, bound for the wreckage of the Titanic. This morning, there is word that a host of experts, including Ocean Gate's one-time director of marine operations, David Lockridge, issued dire warnings as early as 2018. Lockridge cautioned that passengers would be subjected to, quote, potential extreme danger in an experimental submersible. The company dismissed Lockridge's assessment at the time by saying that he was not an engineer and not hired or asked to perform engineering services on the Titan. The 5 people on board include Ocean Gate's CEO Stockton Rush, British adventurer Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman from Pakistan, and the French explorer and Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet, who in an eerily prophetic video warned of what could go wrong on an expedition like this one.
That 5 days is with the oxygen, with the food, with the water and everything like that, but we know very well that we will die before with the temperature. Because the real problem at this depth is the temperature. After a while, you dive because of the cold, which is not a bad way to dive because you fall in sleep and it's not you don't suffer in this case. We know that, but we never think that could happen.
There are 2 ways for the Titan to communicate: text message to a ship at the surface and safety pings emitted every 15 minutes. The fact that both of those means stopped working less than 2 hours into this trip is not a good sign. David Pogue, who is a CBS News journalist who traveled to the Titanic on board the Titan last year, says that means one of 2 things. Either all power was lost or a hull breach caused the sub to instantly implode. He calls both scenarios, quote, devastatingly hopeless. Tashani, back to you.
A lot of people praying for a miracle, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's what's going on there. They have limited amount of air. Their time is of the essence, and it's not looking good as each hour passes by. Now, we have some worse issues here. This is not something that I would like to take lightly, as, you know, things tend to be, you know, very dark and bad in these situations. But of course, we have this, to where it seems that the parts or whatever are questionable, right? Well, before we get into that, we're going to tell you that that the CEO decided to not hire white people, or specifically 50-year-old white people, because they weren't inspirational enough. And even though they hold the most experience, take a look.
About the CEO talks about hiring people.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who were ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. But a 25-year-old, who's a sub-pilot or a platform operator or one of our techs can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry, is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than ocean related. And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller, so anybody can drive the sub.
Yes, you heard that at the very end there. A game controller to pilot the said sub. This guy has most likely killed a whole bunch of kids because he wanted to be diverse, he wanted to be inclusive, and he wanted to be different. He wanted to be inspirational. Well, your inspiration falls flat when you get people killed, sir, for your uninspirational type of BS. This is what we're talking about. The woke and the far left people want to do this type of stuff. They want to just give people handouts and random things without being ready or available to you, or at least have some type of mentor or experienced man or professional to do the job. And this is the issue. This is what they get. Now, let's take a look at the actual issues here. What the actual parts and some of the things are on the submarine that makes you question why were they even allowed to do this, and who made this a green light to go.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Oh, take your shoes off. That's customary.
Okay. Wow.
Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea. It's also the only one with a toilet, sort of. And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components. I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
It seems...
Now, I don't know about you, but everything that I've seen in that clip absolutely bloody terrifies me, and everything is off the shelf. It is not with the state-of-the-art, most safest things imaginable, and they're just saying like, hey, please join us so we can ruin your lives and probably kill you, because that's A-okay, right? Well, here's the thing. I don't really agree with this whole thing with, you know, maybe you don't need to state-of-the-art for everything, but when it comes to things that are extremely life-threatening and you're especially dealing with the ocean, it might be a good idea to have some of the state-of-the-art or best things available, so that way, you know, you can be the best safe, so people don't die, and situations like this don't happen. However, there's this. We have that the U.S. Coast Guard is bringing in more ships, vessels to search for lost Titanic tourist and submersible. We have this as well. We have that the Coast Guard says more underwater banging noises were heard this morning in search for a missing Titanic sub, but Navy doesn't know what they are as search area expands to twice the size of Connecticut. Scary stuff. We also have this as well, that we're from Darren Grimes. The CEO of OceanGate, which is operating the missing Titanic tourist submarine, explains that the company didn't want to hire any experienced 50-year-old white guys because they weren't inspirational. Among many other things here, that we have this. Here's the audio of the knocking sounds they caught from the submersible. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of the ocean. And that was eerie as hell for me, alright? Like, that felt creepy. And anything of that thing could be multiple things. Now, normally when you people are probably, I don't know, maybe suffocating or dying or gasping for air, they might be, you know, holding their throat like this or whatever, or holding their chest and trying to gasp for air and doing knocking sounds. But this could mean that they're alive, which is a good thing. But if they're not, then if not, or that's the sound of them dying, that is horribly terrifying. And I'm hoping that these people do come make it out alive. And then and if these people do pass away or die due to this insanity, this guy is immensely sued out of existence. That he will not be able to, that he'll be barred and banned from making a submarine like this ever again. And that he will be sued into oblivion because he caused the deaths of 5 people because he's an absolute lunatic that wants to go into, oh, I don't know, the woke field of things rather than hire the most professionals and manageable. We have this as well, that the $30 battery-powered game controller used to pilot the lost Titanic submarine has received hundreds of complaints since launching in 2010 for losing connection and constantly breaking all the time. That's not good. That is what we call horrendous, terrifying, horrendous stuff. Like, that's not okay. Like, I don't know where you people want to get this, whether this is going to be a good thing. And then we have, of course, the Titanic CEO didn't hire 50-year-old white guys because they weren't inspirational. So this is the constant thing here. Right? This is insanity in every single regard. And the fact that this is pretty much getting away with all practically murder is insanity. Hopefully these people make it out alive and they're not dead, right? Hopefully they're A-okay. But again, this is not looking good. The hours and time is on the line here, and people, we need to brace for the worst. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.